you do the SummerSlam match, and by November, Davey Boy's gone, and by that point, you're the WWF champion. How much of this Wembley match that you put together do you think made Vince decide to put the WWF title on you 2 months later?
I think it was, I mean, I hate to say that I planned it because I know I didn't. But I mean, I was like, it's like the fact that, that I went to Vince and offered to drop the title to Shawn or Davey Boy prematurely because I didn't know that I was losing. It's not like they came in and said, you're losing the title. It was like, I was one of the only guys I know of that ever went in and said, I have an idea, and the idea is not going to help me, but it's going to help somebody else. And that's pretty rare in wrestling. But I knew, I just had this sense about it, that my timing, I know at that time, I don't know that I was the biggest star in Canada, and I don't know that I was the biggest star here in the United States. I was an up-and-comer, but I don't, guys like Hogan and Warrior and Macho Man were the big wheels in those days. But I know in England and in Germany and a lot of the other markets like India, and I was the guy for some reason. People loved the way I wrestled, and they weren't Hulk Hogan guys. They were Bret Hart guys, and I could sense a shift coming in the business. That was, if you told somebody that at the time in a car riding to the town or something, they'd think you were nuts. Like this guy's so full of himself. He thinks, But I really did have a hunch that things were changing and that I was in a good place at the right time, and this was a chance for me to push and get the break that maybe would open a big door for me, and that's all it happened. I knew. It's kind of funny, but when I got told I was winning the title, it was in Saskatoon. I remember when Vince McMahon called me in the room and they sat me on a floor. I thought they were going to fine me or I was in trouble. They told me the night before, they said, you got to get on the plane tomorrow morning, because I was in my hometown, and I was wrestling in a town about 80 miles out of Calgary called Red Deer. And they came up to me and said, Vince wants to see you first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock. I'm like, 8 o'clock in the morning? I got to get up at 6 to get there. And he's like, he goes, you're booked for you land at 8, and whatever it was. I just was like, you're so tired for a TV taping when you got to get up at 6 in the morning, and then you got to be at the building all day, and then you got to wrestle that night. So I wasn't too happy about going. I remember trying to get out of it, and he goes, you have to go, and Vince wants to see you as soon as you get there. Don't miss your flight. And he made me think that I was in trouble, when in fact it's like they're going to tell me this big news that they're going to put the belt on me. But so I remember I got to the building, and I guess Rick was in Vince's office getting the news that they were going to drop the belt that night. And I just remember watching Vince and Rick exited out of Vince's office. It was a big long hallway, and Vince had a little room somewhere in about the middle of the hallway. And I saw Rick get out, and Rick made a right turn and never even saw me. I was at the other end of the hall. He just made a right turn and walked down the hall. And I was like, Ric Flair's meeting Vince. Like, I didn't connect that either. And then Vince waves at me and gives me the fingers to come down. I come down and sits me down, and I'm like, what's up? Like, what's going on? And he goes, we've tried to do a lot of things with you in the territory, since you've come here. He goes, didn't we put the tag belts on you? I go, yeah, we put the tag belts on you. And then he goes, then we put the Intercontinental on you. And I go, yeah, you put the Intercontinental on me. And he goes, so we've kind of done everything that we can do with you. So anyway, he started talking like he was going to fire me. And I remember sitting there because I knew my dad. I was actually in Saskatoon that day. It was the advertised match that my dad, I think, was handcuffed to Jerry Lawler in the corner or something like that. I can't remember what the storyline was, but my dad was being flown out to Saskatoon to be handcuffed to somebody in my corner. And I thought as he was I remember it's like, sounds like he's going to fire me. Like, it's like, so we've kind of done everything we could think of with you. So, and I could sense, I remember looking at him and going, you son of a bitch, you're going to fire me right now. And my dad's flying in to be handcuffed to, I remember I was like, I just sat there because, the truth is that's exactly how they are. They are that cold-blooded, and that's how Vince and all of them are. It's all business, and they don't give a shit whether you feel bad or not. And I remember I could feel my blood raising, and I was like, I remember going, just keep your cool, because when he fires you, just don't sell it, And I really thought he was going to fire me. And then suddenly he goes, so that's why we're going to put the belt on you tonight, the big one. And I was like, I didn't even sell it. I just looked at him and said, okay. And he goes, and he looks at me like I'm kind of weird, strange. And he goes, you're the first guy that never reacted. Everybody I've ever told that to, when I told them that they were going to win the belt, they usually jumped around the room, or they were so excited and like jubilant. But for me, it was like you pulled the rug out from underneath me for so many years. Like every time you promise me something, it never happens. And you tell me at 8 o'clock in the morning in Saskatoon that I'm winning the world title tonight. It's like, I don't see it. I don't believe it till it happens. And when I see it happen, then I'll be happy. Then I'll jump around my room. But that's how it was. I didn't believe till I won it that I was going to win it. And once I won it, I was never going to give it up. Even if I lost it.